your beautiful sign, that is. We'll start the speakers. So the first landing here, not the one on the street, but this first one. That one, yes. Yeah. Very good. Okay. So slowly but surely get to the landing and we'll start the speakers. Everybody shout out, who's here from Broad Ripple? Woo! Yay, Broad Ripple! Who's here from Bloomington?
Yeah!
Woo! Yeah! All right, who's here from Indianapolis?
Yeah!
Okay, who came from someplace else? Okay, shout out where you're from. Muncie? We got Muncie? Yell out for Muncie. Woo, yay! People from Muncie. And one other one, what else? Terre Haute. Yeah. Woo! Louisville? Holy moly! Thanks for coming. Out of staters. We appreciate it. I'm sorry about your governor, by the way. Sucks to be you. Sorry about that. We'll try to fix it. Okay, it looks like we've got a good group gathered, so I'm going to turn the mic over to, who's the MC here? What? Oh, Chance?
We want Bernie!
We want Bernie! We want Bernie! We want Bernie! We want Bernie! We want Bernie! We want Bernie! We want Bernie! Woo! Yeah! Good job! All right,
Welcome. I know you're not cold, right? No. Because we're here to feel the burn, right? Yeah. It's impossible to feel the cold if you feel the burn. Who's here to feel the burn? Freezer burn is right, but that's okay. We'll take that too. And we're also going to take Bernie Sanders for president of the White House. I was thrilled to be asked to come here and be your MC today and to speak. My name is Dominic Dorsey. I'm a local activist. I'm the president of an organization called Don't Sleep, and Don't Sleep is an acronym that stands for Deconstructing Oppression Now through Solidarity, Equality, Liberation, Equity, and Perseverance. We fight against all forms of oppression. We're fighting for each and every one of you. And we're fighting to make sure that Bernie Sanders gets into the White House today. Now, when they called me, they said, and this is what made me extremely excited about being here, is that not only did they want me to come because they know that I'm okay at speaking on the microphone, I'm not terribly shy about speaking in front of crowds, but they said that Bernie Sanders has made Black Lives Matter not just a buzzword statement, but a pillar of his campaign. Here we go. Come on. You're not too late. Let's go. They said Black Lives Matter is a pillar of Bernie Sanders' campaign. And I've spent much of my time on platforms like this, on the other side of this circle, down the street, and everywhere that Indianapolis will let us speak, talking about Black Lives Matter. Now, it's been a long road coming for several of these presidential candidates to even be able to admit that Black Lives Matter, but to make it part of their campaign shows the level of integrity of Bernie Sanders. We stand in the shadow of MLK Day, and we have an opportunity to elect someone who has Kingian values, someone who has non-violent values, but also is fighting for poor people, someone who's also fighting for individuals who are differently abled, someone who is fighting for Black lives, someone who puts on their website they're not just fighting for social justice equality, but racial equality. They understand that there's a difference between the two. They understand that there are communities that have been disenfranchised, that we have an opportunity to change that, but it takes the intestinal fortitude to speak that into existence, and to not only speak it into existence, but talk the talk and also walk the walk. And Bernie been down. When I say Bernie been down, he didn't just talk about how he admired King. He was there marching, he was out there protesting, he got arrested, non-violent protesting to make sure that segregation never took place again. That's the type of person that Bernie Sanders is. That's the type of person that I want in the White House. He's not afraid to say Sandra Bland's name. He's not afraid to talk about Tamir Rice. He's not afraid to talk about the fact that we have issues with police brutality and that things need to change for the better. And if we don't have a man like Bernie Sanders in the White House, I don't see that happening anytime soon. We need Bernie Sanders to be our next president. This is our opportunity. This is our moment to change history. This is our moment to walk behind a man who stands for integrity, who stands for change, who stands for social justice, and he stands for each and every one of you. Not only does he stand for racial equality, but he stands for, like I said, the differently able. I have a son with autism. He's 4 years old. Not only is he a person with a disability, but he's also a person that's black. So I have two worries. That when we have individuals who in our own state are mowed down because they have mental health issues, they're mowed down because they're black. They're mowed down because we have individuals who have racial biases and prejudices that they can't check, and we have people who are not willing to get those people out of the gun, out of their cop cars, and off the streets policing us. Bernie Sanders is the type of person that we want to make sure those types of things never happen again. So here I am, all of 33 years old, never thought that I would be as excited to vote for a 70-year-old Jewish man. But I haven't been this excited since I voted for Obama. Bernie Sanders is the choice for president. And I have no doubt in my mind that that is exactly what he will be in 2016. We have some amazing speakers lined up to talk to you today. First and foremost, I want to bring up a young woman who is a graduate of North Central High School. She also went to Hanover College in Madison, Indiana. She's an English teacher on the East Side. She's been volunteering for Bernie since July. She also facilitates the Broad Ripple group for Bernie. Come on now, give her some love. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Elizabeth Hyde.
All right, afternoon, I'm Elizabeth Hyde. I do teach 10th grade English on the East Side. I'm used to being in front of people, but not usually this many. Kind of nervous, honestly.
Just teach us!
But you're not whiny teenagers. Like, come on.
Well, some of us are.
Good to have you. So, this is going to be a problem. Looking out here, I see a lot of similarities to my classroom. I see a lot of the same eyes, a lot of the same hopes, a lot of the same dreams. When the Constitution was being written, some citizens asked Ben Franklin what the government would be. And he said, a republic, if you can keep it. A republic. We throw around the word republic a lot. Republican, we have a republic, democratic republic. But what is a republic? A republic is a government where supreme power resides with the people and their elected representatives. Yes. We are the power behind our government. We are the voices that run the nation. If we speak up. In 1876, 81.8% of those eligible to vote voted. In 2012, 57.5% voted. We all lead busy lives. Me, I teach, usually about 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. I'm training for a half marathon. I cook for myself. I try to keep my place clean, mostly. It's really hard to stay involved. It's really hard to get informed, to know what's going on. We have jobs, we have families, we have obligations to fulfill. But, in our daily grind, I think a lot of us forget. The world we live in, the nation we live in, turns on our vote. Today, there's only two things I want to talk to you about. First of all, I want to talk about the promise of America. My dad is one of, if not the, most intelligent people I've ever met. Unfortunately, he's also a libertarian. Here's the thing. Our parties really aren't that different. Beyond the rhetoric and a few key issues, we all want the same things. We all want the same... We all want note cards. We all want the same things. My dad said to me a few weeks ago when I was arguing with him about Bernie, politely, that what we all want is trust, confidence, safety, stability, growth, an environment where ordinary Americans can do extraordinary things advancing themselves and their families and communities toward a better and brighter future. We're born and die singly, but we live and love and work together. It's together we have to address our problems. That's a direct quote. He's obnoxiously good at speaking. That's something every person here believes. You wouldn't be here if you didn't. This is the claim we make, the promise of America, the land of opportunity. We disagree on how to achieve it. We argue policy, we argue strategy. But that's our common goal that unites all of us, no matter what candidate we currently support. I believe in America's greatness. I believe in many ways we have forged new, better paths. We've made our fair share of mistakes. We've done a lot of terrible things, some of which we still don't really admit to, some of which we're still doing, like the lead poisoning in Flint, Michigan, all the cover-ups by the Chicago Police Department. All of this used to make me very cynical about government, very cynical about politics. I voted, but that was about it. I don't feel that way anymore. And I'm betting a lot of you don't either. And that leads into my second point. I want to talk about us. Don't worry, I'm not breaking up with any of you. At least I'm thinking of being hit on this morning, so I can't break up with you. That joke failed. I want to talk about us, the American people. The people who've lived here for centuries, whose ancestors built the nation. People who moved here recently. People who believed that they could build a better life. I've met more of these good people in the past few months than in the last several years. I've met a lot of retirees. I've met veterans. I've met other young people who are getting involved for the very first time. And it's because of Bernie Sanders. It's Bernie Sanders who's brought us together. Bernie Sanders who says he knows we can do better. That we, the people, are the ones who create change. Bernie Sanders doesn't think that he can magically fix everything. He believes what we believe, that our voices matter, and that our nation needs us. Bernie Sanders is the one who's created a team of dedicated supporters, pulling experts, pulling volunteers, everyday people all together. Bernie Sanders is the one who's focused on the greatness we can achieve if we work together. I look at my students every single day, and I see kids who are bright, kids who want to stay for tutoring, but they can't because they have to watch siblings, or they have to work, or they can't get a ride home. Kids, there we go, good job. Kids going hungry because their family can't afford breakfast or lunch, but on paper they don't make enough to qualify for assistance. Kids who could do something great someday if they're in an environment where they can succeed, where they aren't limited by their family's income, by their race, by their gender, their sexuality. I trust Bernie Sanders to make a better America for them, for all of us, not just for some of us. I put my trust in all of you here today, all of our brothers and sisters around the country marching, all of them turning out to phone bank, even though their state doesn't even have a primary for months. When we turn up to vote, change happens. When we get involved, change happens. Already we have broken records. Number of people getting up to volunteer. Number of people have donated. We are the first campaign to break 2.5 million individual contributions this early in the race. But are we done yet? No. I believe in my fellow Americans. I believe in each one of you. I believe in Bernie Sanders. I believe in our strength and our promise. Let's work together and let's do this.
Let's give one more hand for Elizabeth. Okay, we need you guys to stay fired up. I need you to remember who we're here for. Right? She talked about Flint, Michigan. There's one political candidate that says we need to fire and jail Snyder. Who is that individual? There was one individual who said that we should not be afraid to speak Sandra Bland's name, and there's no reason why we should have no answers why a woman should die in a jail cell with nobody's fingerprints or hands or pointed fingers to find out who was responsible. Who was that person? There was one person who didn't need to wait for HRC to give them a recommendation or an endorsement because they had been in favor of LGBTQ rights way back when they were a mayor of Vermont. hosted one of the very first gay and lesbian pride parades. Who was that individual? So if we remember that we're here to vote and to support Bernie Sanders, let me hear you say, feel the burn. Feel the burn. Let me hear you say, feel the burn. Feel the burn. We have one individual who's coming up right now who is a student of IU Bloomington. He is actually one of the co-founders of the Students for Bernie Sanders organization there on campus. He's a biochemistry major, so you know he's intelligent. And he's a first-time campaign volunteer. I just want to make sure I pronounce his last name correctly. Give it up for Stanley Jaguna.
Okay. A little bit before I get started, I want you guys to show me what a political revolution sounds like. That's more like it. Thank you. I'm very thankful to have this opportunity to speak to you, and I'm extremely thankful that each and every single one of you is here today. I stand with you as an active example of the impact that minority youth so desperately need to take hold of in our country. Yes. I stand with you as part of a historic movement that continues to grow in beautiful defiance of expert prediction and conventional thought. They didn't want us to be here. Right. We're doing it like it's never been done before, and the opposition is now scrambling for answers. I tell you, be not afraid. The tide is turning in America. Would the parents and students here today please raise their hands if they believe that college in America is reasonably priced? To say that there is a problem or an issue with access to higher education in our nation would be a poor understatement. Both the United States government and the big banks that tanked our economy in 2008 borrow money at much lower interest rates than college students, the future of our workforce. For more than the past 2 decades, every year's graduating class has been the most indebted ever. Compounded with our wealth inequality over the same time period, it is no surprise that total student loan debt stands at a record $1.2 trillion. They always want to shift the conversation about public programs to cost, but we seldom consider the cost associated with bombing and intervening in foreign nations. Germany, Sweden, Finland, and Norway are just a few of the countries that lead the world in terms of social progress. Each of those nations publicly fund their higher education to 100% of the cost. Yes. The transformative power of tertiary education is due to anyone who has put in the effort, period. Repeat after me, there is no excuse.
There is no excuse.
Oh, I love y'all. The scare tactics are accomplishing nothing. We must provide universal access to higher education if America is to move forward, and Bernie Sanders is our only realistic option. The conditions of America today do not allow me to cast my vote without a consideration for the following issues. In a country that prides itself on freedom, we are yet the world's biggest jailer. In the last 30 years, we have quadrupled the amount of citizens that we incarcerate. According to the NAACP, if Black and Latino Americans were incarcerated at the same rate as whites, our prison population would be half of what it is. Better yet, we have policy measures that continue to directly contribute to recidivism. If Barack Obama had done time for his marijuana use in his teen years, he would not have become president of the United States. Our bloated system of incarceration costs us $80 billion a year. Between both the war on drugs and mass incarceration, we spend $131 billion per year. But this isn't simply a war on crime and a war on drugs. This has developed into a war on individuals, a war on families, and a war on communities. Due to privatized prison labor, the answer to the question of whether or not slavery ended in America and when that time came is never. We need balanced and accountable policing. At least 1,200 American citizens were killed by law enforcement in 2015, and there were zero convictions on any criminal charges. I'm going to stop telling you what many of you already know, that communities of color, are systematically arrested and convicted at higher rates for longer sentences. What I'm telling you now is that our country will not move forward if we bring an end to the criminalization of black and other minority identities. This is more than simply a social issue. When while walking with my peers to class, I remember that I am 21 times more likely to die in a police engagement than they are. In his I Have a Dream speech, a democratic socialist who changed the history of America said that we must never be satisfied as long as the Negro continues to be the victim of unspeakable horrors of police brutality. Yeah, let's show some love for MLK, democratic socialist. Bernie's long record on civil rights speaks for itself. He was in the fight when he was arrested for protesting segregation at the University of Chicago. He was in the fight when he marched on Washington with civil rights leaders. He was in the fight again in the 1990s when he voted against an expansion of the death penalty, when he voted against barring ex-prisoners from student federal aid, and argued that addressing poverty is the #1 answer to stopping crime. He was in the fight last summer when he became the only candidate to call for a restoration of the Voting Rights Act. He was in the fight again in the fall when he proposed legislation to both ban private prisons and to decriminalize marijuana. To the black citizens in earshot, and to those of you who constantly engage with the community, you need to spread the truth that no one else in this race right now is more deserving of our support than Bernie Sanders. For those reasons, this is not just a campaign. This is a fight that takes all of us coming together to revive our democracy. We cannot afford to settle for less. We will not be silenced. We are the dauntless and brilliant protesters. We are the diligent and honest laborers. We are the compassionate and ambitious community organizers. We are the merchants of history. We are a proclamation that the power that belongs to the people shall inevitably return to the people. When I say feel the, you say burn. Feel the! Burn! Thank you. We have a unique responsibility. If there ever was a time for a president even close to what Bernie Sanders would be, it is now.
Come on, y'all can do better than that. Give it up for Stanley. That's what I'm talking about. Let's keep that energy going. Because there's one candidate who's vehemently opposed to private prisons, and that is Bernie. There's one candidate who is in favor of lowering the cost of tuition for college students, and that is Bernie. There's one individual we're here to vote into the White House in 2016, and that is Bernie. All right. Woo. Coming to the podium next. There's a podium here. You can see it right there. This woman is a passionate environmental activist, volunteering for numerous organizations that advocate for sustainability. She's a member of the Indy Climate Team, as well as a geologist. She recently attended the UN Climate Conference and the COP21 in Paris. That's big business. Ladies and gentlemen, siblings, please put your hands together for Amanda Shepard.
Hello, everyone. You look beautiful out there. It's so great to see so many people turning out, and we're getting more all the time. My name is Amanda, and I am a local environmentalist and advocate. I began working for the Hoosier Environmental Council about 1.5 years ago, but have been working as a volunteer in the fight against climate change for much longer than that. I was trained as a climate reality leader by Al Gore in 2012, started my own climate advocacy organization later that year, wrote a petition to the Indiana state government for a statewide climate action plan, which we're still waiting on, by the way, and worked as a regional coordinator for Sustainable Indiana 2016, and also as a volunteer for Earth Charter Indiana. In other words, the fight against climate change has been my life's purpose for quite some time. So I'm going to talk to you about climate here for just a second. Climate change, as I'm sure you all know, is the moral issue of our time. The science has been settled for a long time, and the argument all but won. Over 97% of climate scientists agree that the climate is warming, and human emissions of greenhouse gases are the largest contributing factor. It's easy to forget that when we're standing out here in the cold, right? Maybe for some, but I don't think for most of the people here. The past decade has been the warmest on record. Every year so far in the 21st century ranked among the 14 hottest since record keeping began. And we see the, woo, right back at you! Okay, so we have more severe heat waves, extreme drought, more intense precipitation and flooding, and an increase in the severity of wildfires. And even the intense snowstorms that we see can be tied to climate change.
Yes.
NOAA and NASA both announced just this past Wednesday that 2015 was officially the hottest year in the 136 years of record keeping, and that's by a wide margin. At 1.62 degrees Fahrenheit, above the 20th century average, 2015 topped the previous hottest year, 2014, by the largest margin ever recorded. 10 of the 12 months in 2015 set the record for their hottest respective months. So despite these events, we remain hopeful. Hopeful that with organization and clarity come change. Those who know what must be done have to now step up to the plate and do it, like we're doing it today.
That's right.
As ecologically conscious Hoosiers, we must stand up to our current political leaders and work to elect new leaders who understand that we can sit quietly no more. Our right to a sustainable future and a habitable planet is at stake. As a mother of 3 wonderful, beautiful girls, I decided long ago that I could no longer let this fight be a part-time, when-I-have-time issue. I knew I had to make time to help lead the fight. We know the time to act is passing us by, and we must join together to bring about meaningful change. We have finally begun taking the steps necessary. Keystone XL was finally rejected. Renewables are on the rise as the world is now adding more capacity for renewable power each year than coal, natural gas, and oil combined. Solar panels cost 80% less than they did in 2008. In fact, nearly a full quarter of the world's electricity now comes from clean, sustainable fuels. The leaders of the 7 major industrialized nations, including the U.S., agreed in the summer of 2015 to a long-term goal of phasing out fossil fuels entirely. And finally, just last month, I was in Paris during the UN Climate Conference, where people from all over the world came together towards a common goal in combating climate change. And after 2 weeks of negotiations, 195 countries signed a global climate agreement to limit warming to less than 2 degrees Celsius.
Yes.
But, and this is a big but, in a country where the fossil fuel industry reigns supreme, we must do more. We need someone in the Oval Office who will continue to fight right alongside of us. Someone who marched with us in New York City during the People's Climate March in 2014. Someone who opposed Keystone XL. We need the only presidential candidate to name climate change as the greatest threat to our national security. I'm getting there. We need someone who has sponsored bill after bill that would hold politicians accountable and polluters accountable and cut the emissions of greenhouse gases. Bills like the Super Pollutants Act of 2014, the Climate Protection Act of 2013, the End Polluter Welfare Act, and the Gold Standard Climate Bill in 2013. None of these passed, but only one person supported all of them. We need the candidate who has proposed a comprehensive plan to put people before polluters and reduce carbon emissions by 80% by the year 2050. We need Bernie Sanders as the next president of the United States. This is not an election year. This is a year that we can work to change the world. So let's do it.
One more time, give it up for Amanda. Give me a B. Give me an E. Give me an R. Give me an N. Give me an I. Give me an E. Who do we want for president? Let's keep that energy going. Coming to the microphone next. This is a native of Wayne Township. They represent City County District 22 on the southwest side. He just won a critical seat on the City County Council, giving a 1-seat majority to the Democratic Party. He wasn't an established candidate, but like Bernie Sanders, he has vowed to fight for his district, vowed to fight for higher wages, and vowed to fight against a corrupt government. Ladies and gentlemen and siblings, put your hands together for Councilor Evans.
Thank you, everybody. Is this on?
Yes.
I'm here today to represent the unestablished political part of our city. We have got to have Bernie Sanders.
Yes, we do.
That man's poster says it all. Bernie Sanders, you're our only hope. I know what it's like to run against the establishment. When the party turned their back, ran people, I had to run against them in the primary. Then I had to take out a 2-term incumbent.
Call you next time.
Call you next time. I will. I've got enough here. This is about us. Bernie is our hope for the environment, for higher wages, for a government that serves the people. We have got to fight companies like that one right there, AES, who's about coal. He's only going to be able to do that. He's only going to be able to do that if we step up and we help him get to victory. We've got to give him every hour that we can give him. Phone banking, walking, every dollar, $5. Who are we fighting for? Bernie! We are fighting for us. Bernie's fighting for us so that we can have the option to do for ourselves. Too long, the corporate entities have controlled their own destiny. While they make more and more profits, we're down here in stagnant wages. The cost of living increases, but have our wages went up? No. Bernie Sanders is that candidate. My own personal story is that when the election started, I supported Hillary Clinton. After listening, though, and really paying attention and seeing how entrenched she was with everything that we are fighting, and Bernie Sanders was someone who didn't always do the politically correct thing. He stepped out. He said he was against the Keystone Pipeline very early on. Like they've mentioned here, he's been fighting for equal rights for decades. It became evident to me that this was the man that we needed, that would fight for us, not the establishment, whether it's the Democratic Party or whether it's the corporate entities. He wants it to be equal so that we can go to college and afford it and not come out thousands of dollars in debt like I am. I tell people when I was running, you know, a lot of the folks in my district are older. They've got mortgages. I don't get to have a mortgage because I'm paying off student loans.
We've got student loans too, for our kids.
Yes, I understand. So I'm going to be quick. I wanted to speak today to show you that here in Indianapolis, I will be here to support Bernie Sanders, and when you need help, I'm here for that.
We're here for you!
More importantly, we've got to be active in these next few days. The Iowa caucus is just days away. It's very tight. We've got to give them everything we can here in Indianapolis and Indiana for Iowa. Yes. Volunteer whatever you can. One last chance. Who are we fighting for?
Bernie!
Thank you.
One more time, give it up, put your hands together, come on. Let's put a bow on this thing, right? It feels good to get out here now that the sun's coming back out. We've got our signs up, we've got some excellent signs out here. Bernie for America. Small donors, big change. Jail the bankers. Despite the cold, I'm still feeling the burn. The creativity that's been mustered in this group, I can't forget, right here in the middle. Hold your sign up, please. Gender and pay equality. Bernie Sanders 2016. We have to remember there's not just one thing that Bernie Sanders stands for, but the one thing I can say is when it comes time to stand, Bernie stands. He's not on the sideline. He's not sitting down. He's standing for each and every one of us. Indiana, our fair state, is right here sitting on the heels this Wednesday of trying to vote in RFRA 2.0. Now, for those of us who don't remember the debacle from last year, because it wasn't that long ago, it's not so much what you say, sometimes it's what you don't say. Sometimes it's not what you put in writing, but what you don't put in writing. And in this particular instance, when you're excluding the LGBTQIA+ community, you're making a defined statement that we don't welcome all in Indiana. They made that statement during Final Four. We welcome you all this weekend. We welcome you all right now, but we need people to be welcomed, and not just welcomed, but protected in the state of Indiana. And if Bernie Sanders believes that Black Lives Matter, if he believes in fighting for the working class, if he believes in gender equality, if he believes in climate change, if he believes in everything that you and I hold dear that will make this country, well, I'll put it this way. We have a candidate that wants to make America great again. America is great because of men like Bernie Sanders. And we will make it greater when he becomes our president. So one more time, because we're getting ready to march down the street over to the State House to support the 4 Words and a Comma rally. But before we do, one more time, give me a B. Give me an E. Give me an R. Give me an N. Give me an I. Give me an E. Who do we want for president? Tell me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Tell me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Tell me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Tell me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
No hate in our state.
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 Whose state?
Our state.
Whose state?
Our state.
Whose state?
Our state. Our state. Our state. Our state. Our state.
Do you need one?
I don't know. What is it? Oh, okay.
Whose state?